Hi guys, hope everyone's well and welcome back to the YouTube channel. So in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically share how I tackle being in a different gym, in a different environment when I'm training, because sometimes due to maybe like gym opening times or travelling or whatever other reason, you can't always train at the same gym, and as a result you might have to change up your workout a little. So I'm going to basically talk you through what I'm going to do today in order to ensure that I keep my workout as effective as possible and make sure it's like moving myself forwards and I'm not just going in the gym and messing around for a session. So yeah, hopefully you find it insightful. It is arm day today, so obviously last week's video I did go through an arm session. So yeah, this session I'm not going to talk as much about cues. It's mainly, like I said, going to be about how to basically structure a session when you're not in the gym, like I said, or you're not in your usual gym. But the reason being why it's arms I'm filming today is because I just simply didn't get round to filming beforehand. Slipped my mind, I had a busy week. So yeah, arm day again today. Hope it doesn't bore you too much, but I'll be sure to try and get another day filmed for you next week, probably a leg day, because it's probably a bit more enjoyable to watch. So yeah, hope you enjoy that. Any questions or anything you'd like to see, as always, just let me know below, and yeah, hope you enjoy the video. Alright guys, so just arrived at the gym. The first tip I'm going to give you in terms of making sure you're having a productive session regardless of where you're training is have your routine in place. Try and keep it as consistent as possible. So if you drive to the gym listening to music, having like a pre-workout or whatever, keep doing the same thing and try and keep that structure so you have the same like focus going into the session. I think that helps me a lot. Perform the same warm-up. So if you're used to doing something, don't do something completely different. One, injury prevention. So if you know something works for you to get your joints warm so you feel ready to train, then why would you change it? And two, as well as that, just it'll get you to flip the switch, or in other words, just get your mind right going into the session. So like you know you're going into train. It sounds silly, but I feel like even just doing the warm up, I know once I do this warm up, I'll be like primed to train. I'll be confident that I am warm, and also you like just I think routine's so important. If you have the same rituals before you train, you'll just be focused. You'll be switched on. Just because, like, obviously it sounds absolutely stupid, bear with me, but if you have the same warm-up, your body knows, oh, I'm about to train, I'm about to go in the gym. And yeah, I think just having everything the same gives me that reassurance that I'm going to have a good session. So yeah, see you in the gym. Film some of my sets. Obviously I don't know what it'll be like filming in this gym. Don't even know if you're allowed to film, to be honest. But yeah, I'll try and get as much filmed as possible. Again, it's not going to be too much different from last week, but we'll try and let my phone not cut off before the full set's filmed this time. Hopefully you can see actually me train to failure, not just the first 20 seconds. And yeah, hope you all enjoy. So first tip I'm going to give you is match your volume. So what I mean by this is, if you normally do, let's say 9 sets of biceps on your arm day, don't do 20, don't do 15. Like, why would you change it if you're training to failure as usual, or not training to failure as usual, and you're doing a certain amount of exercises? That's probably the sweet spot for you. So you've obviously worked out that you're not incredibly sore after it and it's not going to hinder your next session. So this is a good reason to keep doing basically what you were doing before, because if you do a lot more, it could impact your further sessions. If you do a lot less, then you might not be getting as efficient a workout to actually grow muscle, which we're obviously after. So yeah, just make sure you're considering that. So before this, I done 4 sets of back. I basically tried to replicate the exercise I usually do. I was a bit busy, but I didn't bother filming it. But yeah, just make sure you're matching volume, which you usually do, which simply means you're matching the same amount of sets. And next up is execution. So when you're in the gym, regardless if you're doing another exercise you're not too used to, it doesn't mean you should just fling the weight about and ego lift. Make sure your execution always stays in place. Regardless of where we are, that's something we can always control. So it should always stay in a good spot. Just because we're at a different gym, like I said, doesn't mean it should slip. So make sure you're pausing your reps if necessary. You're making sure you're going nice and slow on the way down and you're controlling them. And obviously, if something's not helping you target the muscle, keep it still. Stop it from being involved, because if I, let's say, moved my body about doing a bicep curl, then that's just going to target a different muscle. Next up, after that, it's something that I think is very valuable, is choosing exercises you're familiar with. So if you go in the gym and you've never ever done a barbell back squat before and you're going in to train legs, then you're probably not going to get that much of an effective session or an effective or the barbell back squat's not going to be that effective an exercise if you're just like never used to doing it and you never do it. So choose exercises you're somewhat familiar with. So let's say you usually do like a leg press, but there's no leg press at the gym, but you've done in the past, let's say you've done lunges for your quads and it feels great, you know how to do them safely and effectively, you know what weight you're using, you're probably going to have a better quality exercise performing lunges and not just changing to a completely different exercise. So next up is intensity. Before I jump into that, if you look at the video and look what I'm doing right now, put D handles on this tricep extension. The reason being is I feel like whenever I'm using like a flat bar or just a fixed bar for triceps, it never feels great on my elbows. So if you're similar to me, it doesn't feel that great, you can't get a good sensation in your triceps and it maybe hurts, then try putting D handles on the bar and see if it helps, because it does me some massive favours in terms of just making sure the exercise is pain-free. So back on the topic of intensity, make sure your intensity is there. So like I said about form, regardless of what exercise you're doing, you can always make sure your form's good. Same goes with intensity. Just because you're doing another session doesn't mean, or doing another workout doesn't mean you should slack off on your intensity. Make sure it's still there. A good way to tell if you're training intensely is one, your last rep speed. So if your last rep moves really slow, you've probably got no more reps in the tank. Whereas if your last rep flew up, then you've probably got some more reps in the tank. So that's definitely something to be mindful of. So another wee tip for you is when you are training, choose safe exercises. And what I mean by safe is not only exercises you know you're not going to get injured, but ones you know you're going to get an effective session out of, because you don't want to basically like introduce an exercise if you're just going to do it for 1 week. Let's say you never ever deadlift or never ever squat. Why introduce it just for 1 week if you're not going to do it consistently? So chances are on like a free weight movement you're not going to be great at it, your balance won't be great, it's really technical, so you'll struggle to do it. So if you're used to, let's say, doing a row machine, but the row machine's not there, look for another, like maybe like a cable row instead of doing like a bent over row, which is a really complex movement. Because if you butcher the movement and you really struggle to do it, you'll probably just waste your time trying to do it. And considering when you're probably away somewhere or you can't train in your normal gym, you might be a bit rushed than usual. So choose an exercise that you know you're going to get like good bang for your buck out of. For example, like I said, instead of doing like a bent over row, you could just do a like cable row, and it's a much safer option. You know you're going to get a good set out of it. So yeah, hope those tips helped in terms of how to maximize your sessions if you're traveling at a different gym, etc. And last up, here's some lateral raises. So this isn't related to basically training at a different gym, but if you haven't already, I'd recommend trying lateral raises on a cable stack. The reason being is if we do these with a dumbbell, we know at the bottom you can't feel the weight on your like side delts or your shoulders, or there's in other words, there's no weight on it, there's no tension on your delts. As a result, the exercise is really ineffective at the bottom. Whereas as you see on this cable lateral raise, at the bottom there's still tension on my delts because the cable's pulling across my body and it's not like pulling straight down. So as a result, it's harder throughout the whole movement and it doesn't get really easy at any point. So I think it's a more effective exercise. So if you're putting all your eggs in one basket and only doing like dumbbell work for your side delts, give these a bash. Let me know how you get on, because it's something I think has massive benefit to it. And if you don't have cuffs, what you could do is you could just use a D handle. And if it's a pain using a D handle because like the cables clash together, you can still do it single arm. That is not a problem at all, and it will still be effective. Hi guys, so back again. I'm just about to eat my last meal, which we'll go over, but excuse the lack of clothing, it is really warm now, so yeah, excuse me. And yeah, good session, not really anything to be excited about, because with arms I'm training at a different facility. It's not like I can log my training very well or compare it to another session, but everything felt good, got a good arm pump anyway. It felt like it was effective, so yeah, I'm happy. So it's about to have my last meal, so I'm having chicken and rice. The chicken and rice is underneath, as you see, with the carrots looking very appealing, and also a square of dark chocolate. So that's just a source of fats. What I've basically done is moved all my fats, well, not all my fats, but I don't put additional fat sources in my meals throughout the day. So what I mean by this is, like, I wouldn't have like dark chocolate with a lot of fat in it for breakfast, lunch, or like that. Only have it pre-workout just so it slows the release of carbohydrates. But apart from that, I keep them all until my last meal. The reason being is fat slow down how fast you release carbs, and with eating 4,500 calories, or 4,400 to be exact, we want to be going for the food relatively fast, because if fat's slowing down the digestion, then it's just going to clog me up, if that makes sense. We want to be ready for our next meal. So if fat's stopping that, it's not ideal. Whereas if I have it on the last meal, I'm going to be asleep for 9 hours, so that's what I try and get. And I eat 2 hours away from bed, so that's 11 hours. I don't have to worry about getting through this meal in time for a next meal, so I've got a good while, to say the least. So yeah, that's my reason behind it, and it seems to work well so far, really. So yeah, digestion's in a really good spot considering how much calories I'm eating. So yeah, happy with that. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the video and took some value from it. Even if it's not applicable for you training at a different gym, I'm sure you can take some points from it in terms of, like, I'm going to talk about, like, matching your volume or choosing exercises that you're familiar with or that you can progress or that are effective, if that makes sense. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for tuning in as always, and until next time, thanks.